So it's late as fuck, and I just finished The Dead and Their Bolted Arches, so I'm going to be doing this second video on it. So in my last video, I talked about how I had just started the novel, and it was just setting up the things that were going to happen later, wherein it's building on a cliffhanger from the book before, where they found that Flavia's mother has been found. In the beginning of this one, they're all at the railway station because the government has brought her body home on a train in her coffin because she died. And long story short, turns out her mother was killed, and it turns out that her whole family is deeply involved in this government agency that has been defending and taking care of England for a very long time. And her family has deep, deep political connections to the crown and to the government. And, yeah. So, this is all going on. There's a lot to talk about. This is the book where the series takes a rather surprising and unrealistic turn. In this series, not that the series was that realistic to begin with, but it was more grounded, and now it's become, oh, Flavia's from a family of secret agent spies. Okay. And her aunt is like what's called the gamekeeper, who's in charge of all the spy stuff, and her mother was working for the spies. And there's double agents, and there's members of the Deleuze clan that aren't the good guys, and I loved it, don't get me wrong. It was interesting, and actually the best book in the series so far. I'm actually really looking forward to reading the next one, which is called As Chimney Sweepers Come to Dust. But this is where all realism in the series goes out the window, and it almost becomes like something like a series of unfortunate events or something, where there's like this deep conspiracy of network of people that are all interconnected, and everything's playing a part of this, and everything's been carefully orchestrated from the start, which it has. It turns out Flavia's aunt Felicity is kind of orchestrating everything to kind of make her interested in the things she's become, and fuels her interest in science and all these things, because she knew that later, like, Flavia would be involved with all this stuff, and it goes off the rails, but I don't mind. As I've said again and again, this series isn't exactly realism. It's not meant to be realistic. It's not meant to be like, these are real people and real situations. As I've said, these characters are kind of more just stereotypes, and they're formulaic, and they're all a little bigger than life. They're all a little unrealistic. They're all kind of, I don't want to say characters, but kind of. I mean, Flavia, as interesting as she is, isn't that realistic. I mean, yeah, there are kids that are super geniuses and stuff, but she's kind of too perfect, you know. She doesn't really have any flaws apart from immaturity and childish naivete. Her older sisters are all brilliant and pretty and perfect, and she has a father that's stoic and brave and, you know, deeply sad, which is understandable given his circumstances and given his history. But, you know, stiff upper lip and very English. And there's this housemaid they have named Mrs. Mullet, which is the stereotypical English, you know, pepper pot, you know, like, oi, everything's okay, ducks, here's some crumpets kind of type. And then they have a butler who actually served in the war with her father, who actually saved his life, and was a nurse. And he's always, like, spot on. He's like Jeeves. He's always, like, he just suddenly appears with all the answers and everything that needed to kind of fit these things, you know. He's always there unrealistically with all the right answers, and he's always there just at the right time. He knows exactly what everybody wants. He knows exactly what everybody needs. He never has to ask anything. If Flavia needs something, he shows up, you know, before she even knows what she needs, right there. And it's just, these aren't real characters. These aren't real people. this isn't how real life operates. I mean, even if there was in reality, you know, hypothetically, a girl who actually was smart in the 50s who was a chemistry genius and actually came from a family of intelligence officers in the English Empire, it wouldn't be like this. It wouldn't be this high-flying adventure. Oh, so, okay. Which reminds me, so getting back to the blind spirit, her mother's airplane. She does go on a ride with it, because there's this guy that actually knew her, and turns out he's in on this intelligent stuff too. He takes her on a ride in the plane, which actually has nothing to do with any kind of like big showdown or anything, though it does have to do with this epic climax wherein her Aunt Felicity tells her everything that has happened and lays out all this stuff that is basically like, you're in training now. Now that you know this, you're one of us, and everything, you know, is on you now. Shit is happening, Flavia, and you're involved. So she tells her this by taking her in the airplane. They're flying over a bookshop, a family estate. She tells her all this stuff, and and basically is like, shit's real. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's this kind of dumb subplot that happens, but it's kind of quickly abandoned, wherein Flavia wants to resurrect her mother using chemistry, which thankfully doesn't go anywhere. But that leaves like the, you know, British Home Office to come investigate. And they're like, your mother's coffin was open, and her father's like, I knew it was you, Flavia, because of course it would be crazy to have to open your mother's coffin and try to tamper with her body. Which that scene itself is actually very well written. It's very moving. You actually feel kind of everything Flavia was feeling in that scene. It's very well written. And there's a lot of tenderness in this book. I mean, there's tenderness in the other ones, but this one was really, it was kind of, it was sad, it was sweet. You felt like the pain the family was going through. You felt the pain Flavia was going through. And her reflections on her mother and how she never knew her. And how sad she is that she's not there anymore. Are very moving, you know. The intelligent spy stuff is interesting. It's definitely unexpected. It's like Agatha Christie. It's kind of like John le Carré or somebody like that. How the series is kind of going. It's getting less out of the corpse of the day formula, where like Flavia's minding her own business. Somebody dies. She has to investigate, and it's getting more out of that and more into this deeper kind of overarching storyline, wherein it's almost like Flavia is like Harry Potter. She's like, she was born into this, she was the chosen one to carry on this spy business, and their whole family's been spies for hundreds of years, and it's almost feeling like an overarching, broader story, like that series. Instead of this more like girl accidentally stumbles onto a corpse and has to solve a murder mystery a day series. It's getting less out of that and more into like, there's a bigger, broader storyline, and actually the whole series has been leading up, getting into this broader storyline. And this is definitely the book where it starts taking off like that. I don't dislike this direction. It's just not what I was expecting the series to go into. I was expecting every book in the series to be more or less how the early ones are, where it's like Flavia's minding her own business at Bookshelf. Jesus, I'm so tired, I can't talk. And she has to figure out who killed somebody. Next book, same thing. I was expecting that. This is not that. This series is going... I will definitely keep reading it, and I definitely like the series, especially since the next book is going to be about how Flavia is actually sent away to a boarding school in a different country. That'll be interesting to see her in a different environment, considering this whole series she hasn't been anywhere but her house in her small village. It'll be interesting seeing her kind of out of her element and like how she reacts to that, because she's literally never been anywhere else. Especially in another country. So, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the spy element. kind of how she gets sucked in all this and what happens with that. That'll be fun. But yeah, there's a lot going on in this series, and I don't want to spoil anything because it was kind of obvious who the killer of her mother was, and the killer does, in fact, is the same person that killed the guy at the beginning with the train, and you find out, because they were all in league with each other, that this person is the obvious enemy, why they killed them. It's obvious, but at the same time I don't want to just be like, it was this person. I won't spoil it, but I will give some possible suspects for you guys, and see, if you read it, you can see for yourself. So, Flavia's Aunt Felicity comes into the picture. Another aunt named Lena comes into the picture with her spoiled daughter. And another guy who is a private detective who showed up in a previous book. He's back. He could be the killer. And there's a pilot that her mother knew that takes her Flavia on an airplane ride. He could also be the killer. Maybe he's not as nice as he seems. Those are the suspects. Think about it and read the book, and I don't know. It's one of those people. I'll give you that. I'm on the same thing else. It's one of those people. So anyways, yeah, that's about it for this one. Sorry I had to do a two-part video. I just kind of wanted just to hurry and get around to talking about it, but now that I finished it, definitely good. Definitely the best so far in the series. I think it's only going to get better. I think it's a series where each successive book will outshine the one before it. And I'm digging this crazy, silly, kooky spy angle that it's going into now. Especially with like characters like Winston Churchill himself makes an appearance in it. That's pretty interesting. That's fun. That's an interesting direction for this to go into. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Flavia at a girls' school. That's gonna be great. So yeah, that's it for this. I will be back with another video soon, as I always say, and I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on. And I don't know when the next video will be up, or what it'll be about, but that's par for the course, isn't it? So, that's it. Thanks for listening. Good night. I'm going to bed. Bye.